Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Copy Closer podcast. I've got a really badass guest for you guys today. I'm so excited to interview him. We did a podcast years ago when I was first starting. He showed me the game, he showed me the ropes, and he showed me how cool people can be in this industry. And I'm so happy to have him on. So real quick, Mark, my man Mark, if you could do a quick little intro of yourself, who you are. I'd love it if anybody who's hearing this right now, whip out your phones and follow him on Facebook as soon as he spells his last name for you.
Copywriter, write copy, advertising. When people ask me what I do for a living, I say I masturbate people's emotions, or I make people rich, depending on my mood. I love copy. To me, it's the language of emotion. It's the art of connection. And, even when out of the gate, you're not always right. What I love about this business is as long as you work with people who aren't just taking one swing of the bat, but are ready to really, build multi-million-dollar brands. I love testing. I love optimizing and scaling and winning. And more than anything else, bringing authenticity into this business where there's a lot of made up stuff, fake stories, pen names, where copywriters feel like, I'm going to say whatever I want because I can. And, so there's a lot of ways to make money.
Dude, I love it. I love it because you're really one of the few people, you and Patrick, I always fuck up his last name too, Bove or Bovey. You're one of the few people and really two top level copywriters, in my opinion, just in the game, numbers speak for themselves, right? So whenever I hear people talk about authenticity, very few people actually mean it. And you're somebody who actually stands behind that. I mean, we were just talking off air about you're writing some cool copy right now for an interesting product. And if you want to talk about it, you can. I mean, I don't know how much you can reveal, but you're interviewing people for this product. And that's almost like a lost art in copywriting. Copywriters, when they hear interview people, what do you mean interview people? I don't just make this shit up. So if you could, man, talk a little bit about, first off, spell your last name, please, just so people can actually find you. Mark Pescetti, the main man. Follow him on Facebook. Let him spell his name for you, though.
So Pescetti, it means little fish. So Pesci, fish, Pescetti, little fish. Pescetti.
Nice. So make sure you guys go ahead and follow.
Hey, kid, let me tell you something. This is Marcello Francesco speaking. It's a little bit of his alter ego. Make sure you get the name right because he hates repeating himself. He's right, too.
See, this is great, man. I'm so happy you're on the show. So make sure you guys, first off, whip out your phone, follow him on Facebook. Make sure you stay tuned because we're going to be talking, and we're still talking right now. And I wanted, before we dive into your story, because I really wanted to start with that, but now that you brought up authenticity, I don't want to let that one go. So if you could talk about real quick, what's like your process like when you first work with a new client? Like, do you have a process, or as soon as they give you like 20 grand, you just start writing?
I have a watertight process. And in fact, I've been training copywriters. It's heuristic. So heuristic is the language of storytelling. Doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter if you're religious or spiritual or none of the above. Doesn't matter what language you speak. We all speak in the language of story. So if you listen to people's stories, they're telling you where their pain is. They're telling you where their hope is. They're telling you what they've been through and really what they're expecting out of their lives. So if you can find the high watermark in that story and help people see themselves in whatever advertising you put out, then they're in. Because nobody cares about anything any of us are selling until connection is made, until there's empathy, right? So it's really important to deliberately develop that empathy, to know what people are actually going through. So what I do is right now, I got hired to write men's dating copy. Now, this is an interesting story. This is a super affiliate on ClickBank who makes really good money, pimping out, all the top controls in men's dating. But he doesn't have any control over the product. And the products generally have a 20 plus refund rate, chargebacks. And the copy is, a lot of them are like from 2011, 12, 13, 14. And so the design is kind of archaic, and there was just and they're not real. And so he's like, where are the real men who are telling their stories out there? And then he's like, interesting thing, Mark. What I found interesting on the data is, these are written to younger men, and yet all the data shows me that the men who actually buy are 35 plus. So where's the copy? Where's the person that's speaking to older men who have already lived full lives? I'm 39 years old. I was married for 15 years. I'm divorced 4. It's like I have a 16-year-old daughter. I've done shit. I've been around the block many times. And I don't need one-liners. I don't need, brain tricks. And that's what's being sold in the space. So the authenticity was the name of the game here. And, so I interviewed this beautiful blonde 22-year-old this morning, Taylor Ann something, just this country girl. And
isn't this amazing? That's your job, man. That's your work right there. You got to interview beautiful women.
Yeah, it's fun. And
it must suck to be you.
What's beautiful is when you get all this content, there's so many ways as creatives that we can use it. I could use it as lead gen and ads. I can use it as a landing page, sign up for this 40-minute interview and discover what women really think about us. I can use it as openings in my VSL. I could use it in the VSL and, disperse them. We use it in continuity because the money is in continuity. If you get, people on a 6-month churn at, even $19.95, and you're getting 2, 4, 6,000 people a month churning, your company's,
you're making some money.
It's a 7-figure a year vertical. And
yeah.
And that's what I'm interested in because, while I get paid good money on the front end, the money's in the back end.
Absolutely.
That means we copywriters need to make sure that we stand behind our work. And so then he hired me as the face and voice.
Yeah. Because
I'm 39 years old. I have been a womanizer. I easily connect with women. I have a 19-year-old girlfriend right now. Beautiful. And this guy. Legit been with over 400 women. I'm not going to actually say that on camera.
You just did.
Anyway.
This guy's awesome, guys. So, Mark is the best because he doesn't just write copy. He's actually lived a really cool life. And, some of the best copywriters that I've met have met truly full lives. It's not a perfect life. It's a full life. They've gone through ups, downs, depressions, happiness, everything. And that's what makes you a good copywriter because you're more sensitive to all these emotions. Dude, Mark, you're like, I love talking to you because you can go in such cool different places that a lot of other people are either scared to go to. They don't want to be vulnerable, or they just have never been there and they don't have that experience. Do you think that helps you? That's got to help.
That's an interesting thing. That's the name of the game, dude. I mean, even in the copy for the men's dating, it's all about vulnerability. It's about letting people in, letting them see you, letting them connect with you authentically, your true essence, not the facade that you put out. I went to traffic and conversion last month, and I went down for clients. Really, I got.
If anyone doesn't know what traffic and conversion is, that's a big marketing seminar out there in California. Like thousands of people show up. So
yeah,
okay. Just wanted to get some. It
was the biggest turnout ever. I mean, it was
huge,
massive, and ClickBank's there, Agora's there. Oh, get this! I'm talking with the guys at Agora, and they're like opening the door for me to work with them. But I'm like Mr. Suits Cash guy, right? And I'm like, yeah, we should work with each other down the road. And he's looking at me like, okay. And I walk away and I'm just like, oh, you idiot.
Yeah.
But one of the things, so a couple things. And I know you, we kind of talked beforehand and I'm kind of jumping the gun here, but this is interesting because at traffic and conversion, first of all, a lot of people facading. A lot of people, telling big shot stories when they're not really there yet, and that's fine. But I find it not very enjoyable. I actually only watched Ryan Dice in his opening keynote, and he basically just said, the cycle of digital marketing has come full circle and we're back to innovation stage. And I'm just like, really, Ryan? That's the big aha moment that you're starting this whole thing with? You have to innovate? Can I ask you a question, Carlos?
Yes.
When do we not have to innovate?
You've always got to innovate. I study
Always.
direct mail so I can innovate online.
You take the best bits of what's out there and you build on it. Because if you just keep copying, eventually shit gets burnt out. Like the way people sold in 2005 is very different than how they sold in 2015. But the way that we sold in 2015 is already very different than how we sell in 2019. And the fake stuff that's still performing well, and yeah, I mean, it performs well in certain circles, but there's what prevents some of these campaigns from truly thriving? Well, it's interesting because what prevents them from truly thriving is also what makes them a lot of money. Because while they make a shit ton of money on lists, they can't do well on cold traffic until you build a whole big funnel in front and get it far away from the platforms so that Facebook and Google, YouTube, Instagram go, okay, that's fine. And so they really suffer from the companies really getting big and becoming well-known brands because they're not compliant. They can't go mainstream.
Copy's almost become a compliant. Like when I write for my own offer, like Tiffany and I sell in different little niche markets, and I've discovered that I write more for compliance on Facebook than I really do to persuade. I have to include some urgency and a guarantee and like some shit, but I'm like everything. I don't even use the word "you," which is such a powerful word in copy because I don't want to get fucking shut down. So it's like most of the copy nowadays, people have to get with it, man. It's a lot about compliance as well as persuasion.
Oh, heavily about compliance. And I actually put a thread up on Copy Chief, Kevin Rogers, Copy Chief. Are we moving so far towards compliance that persuasion needs to transform? It needs to shift in how we use it. And the answer is yes and no.
Yeah.
The answer is yes and no, because there's certain things that are just evergreen. They're just timeless. But the way that it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Right.
So, it's like right now, I wrote great copy for an offer and it's not performing. And I guarantee you, if I put that same copy in a doctor's voice, it would do really well. But it's just a regular woman who doesn't necessarily look like the women we're talking with want to look like.
Right.
And when you don't have the right face and voice, sometimes the information falls flat. The emotion falls flat because you don't believe that person. There's not that suspension of disbelief. Whereas a doctor, just my credentials, how I present myself, my authority, I'm going to overcome a lot of your objections just because these words are coming out of my mouth. Dr. Stephen Gundry, anybody?
Yeah.
So, it's like, it's compliance, but it's also, in terms of what the networks value, they throw good traffic at real faces and voices. So when you have, like on our lead gen side, this is a weight loss offer. We're getting 9-cent lead acquisition costs.
That's insane.
9 cents.
That's insane.
So once we get the middle of the funnel working well, it's like this company will be printing money. And fortunately, this is another top affiliate I work with. I don't know about you. I work with a lot of top affiliates that want to become business product owners.
That's a big trend. Once these guys make 7-8 figures as affiliates, they're like, fuck, but I don't own the actual asset. Like I need to.
Yep.
It's funny. I noticed that some of my clients, as soon as they have kids, if they were big time affiliates, they're like, fuck, I have a kid now. I got to like be a grown up and make my millions owning my product. That's interesting.
Hey, the guy that hired me to do the dating copy, exactly that.
Is it?
Yeah. He has a great job. He's making money, but he wants to be at home with his kids. And not just do affiliate marketing and making good money, but, I mean, I think he probably has more money than us, but yeah. I mean, he's older and he's, gone through the system, big in sales and all that kind of stuff, done, started with affiliate shit, when it was brand new and just like, if you just put it out there, people are like, yeah, I'll buy it. So
well,
it was a little easy.
I want to back up just a little bit because I really want to get your story. We jumped right into copy because I selfishly just wanted to get more answers on this authenticity stuff. Because I think when you just talked about this whole compliance thing, the true secret is what you're already talking about, which is being more authentic. The more authentic you are, you don't have to be so super salesy because you're authentic. It's
Right.
real, right? So it's almost
It's
like
like
it sells
if
itself.
a liar, a liar is always hiding because they don't want to reveal the lie.
Mm.
So when you don't have anything to hide, it's easy. It's effortless. You don't have to hold back. You can just let it all hang out. And that's the beauty of compliance is if you have a good product and you have, you know, whatever proof mechanisms you need, whether it's testimonials or science or stats, you know, whatever it is, and put it out there in an authentic way, the platforms love you. Now, there's certain things, obviously, like even this dating copy originally was supposed to be written for compliancy. Now, in order to do that, the only way I really figured out was to do a true self-help product for men, just a universal self-help product that's not about dating.
Mm.
Relationships and love are a part of it, but if I focused on that, I could not be compliant on the front end.
Right.
However, I sent you the copy to look at.
Yeah, I can't wait to look at it.
The copy I wrote there is not compliant. But it's not. I mean, the subject matter is not going to fly no matter what, but it's not so far off that if I open with a webinar with similar copy, and then have a webinar landing page that's 100% compliant, then I'm off the platforms and they're way more lenient.
Yes.
So, you know, there's a lot of ways to work compliance, and you have to test different things. So
Yeah.
we're going to test this, and we're also going to test just a pure self-help product for men that then in the back end focuses on the dating aspect.
So the way I've actually, it's funny that you say that. So the way I've done something similar with Tiffany where we have, like, my copy will naturally just not be compliant with Facebook. Not like illegal copy, but it just like, I'll use the word you too much and like shit, just like stupid stuff, you know? So one of the things that we started doing though is just kind of doing a tripwire. We literally just make people buy something for as cheap as $1. I'm not trying to make money on it, but I want them to be able to read my really good fucking written sales letter that's not really compliant with Facebook, but I know it's going to fucking convert. So how do I get some eyeballs to there while scaling? And so we figured out, let's just get them in there with $1 and then send them directly to the sales page or the VSL or whatever it is. And that's actually something that started working with us, because then when people opt in or pay the $1, that's what I call an opt-in now, because it's all, well, I was going to say it's almost as cheap as getting a free lead, but not compared to what you're getting. I haven't had 9-cent leads in like, I don't know, like 4 years, like since my martial art thing. So that's amazing.
But it makes it more
right. But I mean, if I can acquire a $1 or even a $5 little free plus shipping type customer for $3 to $5, even $10, it can work. If you know your numbers, it works out. And if you have people who are calling them up, like what we started figuring out is we actually have a person that calls all of our abandoned carts and walks them through the funnel as if it was all mine. So if they stopped at the funnel where they didn't get our free book, we have someone call them up and say, hey, we just saw that you came to our website, but you didn't get a chance to check out the book. Would you want to take care of that now so we can mail it to you? It's just $7 for shipping, and we take care of it. So, you know, if you can get a good salesperson that understands, I mean, this now comes down to like building almost a team, because I couldn't do this myself. Like, there's no way I could run traffic, write the copy, and call all these people and ship out the fucking product. It's just impossible. So I was fortunate.
We'll talk more about, because it does take a village to build a funnel.
It does, man. It really does. It really does. I mean, you can do things on your own for sure, but just like what you were talking about with collaborating, I've seen better success collaborating with people. Instead of trying to just fight everybody all the time, why not just collaborate and everybody makes some money together? Because I know I'm not the most systematic person in the world, but I need systems to fucking grow. So I get with people who can do that stuff, you know? So what do you think about collaborating? Like, should copywriters really be collaborating with each other? I see a lot of them almost compete against each other than working with each other.
Well, you know, that's a strange thing. I don't come from scarcity mindset. There's plenty of clientele out there for all of us, and different people will resonate with different copywriters. And so, I mean, I have a few different visions, but I mean, right now, the copywriters that I work with when I do classes, I'm making my competition. I'm making them better. I'm making them better at promoting themselves, at knowing how to be leaders. You know, that's one of the things that's really lost on copywriters coming up down the pike these days, is they don't even know that they're supposed to be leaders, much less how to be leaders. And, you know, it's like when somebody hires me, they're hiring me because of my expertise. They're not hiring me so that I can ask them questions on what to do.
You know, Pauline Longdon said something like that. I just interviewed Pauline. Do you know Pauline by any chance? Yeah. So Pauline said something interesting, and I liked it because it's another, she comes from a really authentic, you know, at least from, I've never hired her to write copy, but at least interviewing her, she seems very authentic. And one of the things that she said is, you know, she won't just take somebody's money if they want to pay her 10 grand if she knows a copy isn't going to work simply because the funnel. You know, she's like, listen, we got to fix the whole thing. Like, let me help you with your pipes here. Let me fix this. Let me do that. But I think that comes down to being a leader. I mean, she was in the military. And so she's, I mean, I don't know how she developed that skill set, but she's, I believe, a natural born leader. And I think you are as well. But you're right. That's a skill that a lot of copywriters, and I think freelancers in general, have just kind of forgotten about. It's almost like they sign up to get a job and they're just waiting for an assignment rather than saying, hey, this is what we've got to do, guys, and leading from the front.
And that takes, so I just finished the module with copywriters that wanted to be health copywriters, supplement copywriters. And so we wrote copy for niacinamide riboside. We wrote copy for omegas. We wrote copy for an Organifi product, Pure. You know, and when they would come forth, I would ask them questions. So I'm a mechanism copywriter. In other words,
what does that mean?
There has to be a reason that this problem is solved by this solution, because I need to know this can work for me and why. Otherwise, I'm going to have too many objections. The mechanism is the bridge that bridges the problem with my solution. So, like, for instance, the mechanism for niacinamide riboside, if you're doing like what Niagen is doing, they're positioning it as anti-aging. So, I mean, what is it really? First of all, it's premature rapid aging. So you have trillions of human cells, right? Red blood cells. And every red blood cell, there's thousands of energy factories, powerhouse factories called mitochondria. That's where our energy comes from. It's sparked from magnesium, and then there's all these nutrients that need to occur for the energy metabolism to work, for the mitochondria to function and not go into dysfunction. When we get older, we eat too much of the standard American diet, we're too stressed, antibiotics, yada, yada, yada. The energy metabolism starts breaking down because we become deficient in certain nutrients. Now, my grandfather, Anthony Pescetti, invented time release, but he also had a supplement company, Nutrihomo, that had cold processing, first supplement company that had cold processing and time release. And he said, he would ask people, what's a supplement? It's meant to supplement an already ideal, healthy lifestyle. That means if you're not getting something from your food and your active activity and your exercise, then you need to supplement it. But supplements never heal or cure anything. So if you're replete in something, you need to replenish it. Or if you're deplete, then you need to replete. And that's it. And it needs to be bioavailable and non-denatured. Non-denatured meaning that the way it's processed doesn't kill the natural organic substance.
So would the mechanism
NR,
be
niacinamide riboside.
Would the mechanism be like the magic pill then, or the product in that case?
Yeah, there?
Yes, yeah. Can you hear me? Boom, perfect. We had a little technical glitch, but we're right back.
So, okay, mechanism, niacinamide riboside. Now, NR is a precursor to NAD+. NAD+ is a huge factor in energy metabolism. Replete the ability for the body to, a precursor for NAD+, the energy metabolism can explode. And so what is aging? Well, it's rapid, premature aging. The more mitochondria factories that go into dysfunction, and then there's apoptosis. That means cells take themselves out of circulation, kill themselves, or repair themselves. And when they stop doing that and then divide, then we age faster.
So
now there's all these cells that are sick and old, and they're
so is the mechanism. Yeah, so the mechanism then, so there's got to be a reason. to how this solves, like you. So it sounds like whenever you write your copy, because how you
Again,
explained it now is very similar to, I was seeing how you write your copy, which is cool because you talked
absolutely.
about it, you described it, you made it very, you simplified it so we understand the reasoning of how everything works. But then you did something that I don't know if you did it on purpose, but you actually brought in a story. So now I was tied into it more, related to it. You brought in your grandfather who invented like the time releasing stuff. I'm hooked in even more now. And so I don't know if that's something you just did naturally, but I think also that's part of copy.
That's on purpose. First of all, it adds credibility and authority, and it adds. So why do, like, oftentimes like a Hollywood movie, people can get more out of a movie than they can out of a seminar, because one is information being shoved down their throat, and is the other one relating to them. You know, giving the opportunity for them to see themselves and connect with whatever it is, the information, the person, you know, whatever. So you know, yeah, it's always, but heuristically, if I don't give people a reason for something to work, then, you know, we always, you know, it's like, how does that work? Is that the best? You know, like instinctively, intuitively, we're always looking for it, whether we're aware of it or not. So when you give it to them, it just overcomes such a plethora of objections.
Oh my God. Yeah, dude. That's so funny that you say that. It's like the instant like bullshit test. Like they're going to say, is this bullshit? And you explain how it's not bullshit, right? So you can have a really killer claim, but what you're doing is actually walking through that big claim that you may make and saying, hey, this is actually how it's real. So, and now that's given credibility because you walked them through. Now they understand, oh, that makes sense, you know? But
and then
actually,
when that copy comes out of the right face and voice, it has even more impact.
oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's what you're talking about. If you put anything in front of, if like a doctor says it and it's a health type of promotion, that means a whole another thing than as if, you know, you and I said it as copywriters, as normal people, you know? But
Correct.
I wanted to go back real
like,
quick because I wanted to go back because
I could be like, Mark,
go ahead.
wait, watch this. Like, is the average Joe. Hey, Mark Pescetti here. And I want to tell you how I accidentally discovered the fountain of youth. You know, when you start out with copy like that, sometimes it works, that's okay, but at the same time, it just kind of makes me die a little.
Yeah.
So let's lead with authenticity. Go ahead, sorry.
I actually wanted to bring out more authenticity because you're such a cool dude and a great copywriter. And we skipped over the first part of the interview that I really wanted to get because I was just selfishly wanting to get to this tactical stuff and all this marketing stuff. But I also want to know your story because most people don't just fall into they don't like go to school to become copywriters and shit. Most people don't know what they think copywriting is a trademark or something, you know? So how did you even stumble into copywriting? What's your story? Talk a little bit about that if you could.
So when I was 9 years old, I was diagnosed with brain cancer. I got pulled out of school, and I never went back to school. So I'm a fourth grade dropout.
Wow.
So I don't have a high school diploma.
How do you not have a book out yet? I'll let you continue your story, but that in itself should be a book.
Yeah, well.
How I generate millions of dollars as a fourth grade dropout. What the fuck?
So when I was 10 years old, my mother actually worked at a cancer clinic in Rosarito Beach, Mexico. She worked with a guy named Gary Young. A lot of people know him because he has the Young Living oils, and it was like a big MLM for a long time, but they're very quality oils. He was a dick. Constantly demeaned my mother in horrible ways. Sorry, it's windy here. So my mom wanted to start a healing retreat on the island of Maui in Hawaii. And so she got property in Olinda, which is upcountry Maui. And the day we got there, so I had recovered from terminal brain cancer, by the way, and that's a whole long story. I didn't get chemotherapy. I didn't get radiation. So that's a long.
That's a sales letter in itself.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
Somebody actually owns my story for a campaign, and you could be careful if you use your stories and be careful who you make rich.
Right.
So when we got to Maui, the day we got there, my brother was on heavy meth, and he did some bad things and scared the shit out of people. And The owner of the property broke the contract. And my mom had about $500 to her name. We drove around in the rental car, and we ended up at the Eel Valley Lodge. And my mom shacked up with a man named Lee Hayden. He was the manager of the Eel Valley. And my brother disappeared, and I was left to myself outside with a pair of shorts, shoes, and a T-shirt. No other clothes because they got lost. I mean, our stuff didn't come for 2 months. So my first night there, I'm outside. It's pouring rain. I'm crying like a bitch because I don't know where to sleep.
How old are you at this time?
10.
Fuck.
So I wandered the majority of that night until about the sun came up, and then found a place to lie down along the what they call the Bloody River. It's where King Kamehameha had died in the Eel Valley, and finally fell asleep. I got through the night, and I mean, it was hard, especially with my mother just bailing on me. You know, she took care of herself, but
that's crazy.
And if you fast forward the tape to right now, my mother lives down the street. She has advanced Alzheimer's, and I'm still taking care of the woman.
Wow.
Go back about a week into this, things were bad. She had no more money, and I was hungry. And so in the back of the lodge in the jungle, it's the west, the jungle, the Eel Valley jungle actually segued into the West Maui Mountains. And in the back there, I found lots of different fruit: star fruit, mangoes, papayas, rambutan, which are very exotic, lychee-like fruit, very expensive. And I asked them if I could harvest it and sell it on the side of the entrance of the Eel Valley Lodge. And the way I actually asked it as a 10-year-old, I said, "Since you're fucking my mother, would you mind if, you know?" So, I mean, I knew.
Holy
I knew
shit! As a 10-year-old, dude, you were a
nuts.
natural born hustler. No one does that shit. I mean, most kids would fucking die at 10 years old. I can't even imagine being that creative.
So it was a bit of a dance because it's actually illegal to not go to school. So I had to spend the mornings and afternoons harvesting, and then I would sell in the later afternoons after school got out. So that because I got caught by the cops 3 times. Twice I got put into handcuffs, and I would have been in the Child Protective Services. So twice I got away handcuffed, escaped, and got cut out.
Holy shit!
Yeah. So anyway, I made money selling fruit, a couple $100 a week, and then there was a lot of Japanese tourists that came into town literally by the busload. And I just started showing up where they got off and said, "Hey, a lot of times they didn't even speak English. But I'd be like, "Hey, anybody want me to show you all the cool spots? Let me show you." Not even asking for money. And they would just throw money at me.
And how old were you at this time? Still 10?
10. By the time I was almost 11, I had become a master at hand spearfishing. I just went in the water, open water, and I started surfing. I learned how to swim before I learned how to walk. I live up to my name, Little Fish. And so, I mean, I was competitive surfing at 6 years old. So I would go fish. I would catch opa, ahi, lots of eel, and I feed people. I feed myself. I ate a lot of raw fish, cleaned it all myself. Sometimes I'd smoke it. I built myself little smokers. And so by the time I was 11 years old, I would be gone at a month at a time. Nobody knew where I was. I didn't even know where I was. I was just out in the jungle. And that's where I was.
That's unbelievable. And you just survived off these fruits and fucking living off the earth and shit?
And fished.
And fish. And you made your own career. Like, what the fuck, dude?
So, we did that for about 4 years. We used my money to rent a place. We moved to Kauai. Hurricane Iniki hit. We had a great place. Hurricane Iniki hit. Then we were homeless. That was a Category 4 hurricane, 225 mile-per-hour gusts. It was a major hurricane. It lasted forever. It was like a drum. A bomb was dropped on the island. There was no electricity or phone on most of the island for over a year. But yeah,
Wow.
we were kicked out of place because the owner got it red tagged, even though it wasn't a red tag.
What's a
Because
red
insurance,
tag?
a lot of people, it's not livable anymore. It was
I
too
see.
damaged, according. But she hustled to get it red tagged. So we were homeless again. Blah blah blah. I got into fighting. I did martial arts starting at 4 years old. I have 6 black belts.
Wow.
Uh,
In what martial arts?
WTTU Taekwondo, WTF ITF, ATA all Taekwondo, Kempo and Shotokan.
Wow.
So I started competing, and by the time I was 16, I had to go to the mainland to fight because there was money to be made. And I actually got involved in something called the TJ circuit, Tijuana circuit. It goes from Tijuana to like up to Seattle, and it's an underground fighting ring. It's mixed martial arts, but I mean, I can't even tell you the shit I've seen.
You're like the Street Fighter cartoons I used to watch, but in real life.
By the way, the very first fight,
Dude, you're like Ryu.
the very first fight I was in, like when I was homeless, I mean, I don't know what you want me to get into, but when I was homeless, I was tied up to a tree naked, told I was going to be raped, murdered, and eaten. I actually, I was tied up with a fishing line, and it punctured into my body every time I tried to get out of it. And so drunk and high, I ended up getting away and running away. I mean, I've been through. I got stabbed here. I got stabbed here when I was 10 years old. I got my
He's
hand.
pointing at his hands for all the listeners who can't see. He got shanked in his hand. He got
Yeah,
fucking.
Samoan, big Samoan man. I was actually going to steal his food in the Yell Valley Park, and he caught me, and he stuck a knife right through my hand into the table, and he left it until I pulled it out. So I
Holy
mean, when you're homeless, dude, and this was a guy, by the way, I didn't even know the food he was eating. Kitties. He barbecued kittens. That was like his favorite.
kittens?
So I've seen a lot of kittens. Yeah. The very first fight I was ever in, I was 15 years old underneath the Kilauea Bridge, and these local kids were trying to kill my dog. They wanted to eat my dog. So I ended up isolating one of them and shattered his knee and punched him until, I mean, his face was horribly swollen.
Yeah, fuck him if he was trying to kill my dog.
Oh, no, my dog was my life. My dog was my life. And, but funny shit, they actually became my best friend.
No way. Isn't that interesting? Guys always have stories like that. I got in this really bad fight, and then we became best friends afterwards.
But I got into fighting. I fought when I was 16, my 102nd fight, because I had a lot of fights.
Right.
I had 13 concussions. Not up to that point, but in my career diagnosed. And so he broke my back. He was a Gracie brother student.
Mm-hmm.
He was like 5'5", 5'6", 5'6". And it was my third fight of the night. I was bleeding heavily. I had gotten cut open. I got thrown into a nail, exposed nail. And so, yeah, he broke my back in less than a minute. I didn't even tap out. I passed out. I woke up an hour later and I went to the hospital. I got shot up with cortisone because I couldn't use my legs. And
Was this in that Tijuana circuit fighting?
Yeah, TJ circuit. Yep.
How do you get into that shit? For all the underground fighters wanting to get into it, I guess. Is that like an invite only? Do you show up like?
You know the right people. So I actually and my story is all over the place, dude. But at the same time, I was training for professional wrestling. I was the fallen angel, Shane Apollo. I had dreadlocks. Your mother, your father, they didn't love you. They didn't want you. You're just another victim. You bow down before me. I am your God, and I will save you. But these guys right here, these heavies right here, if you don't bow down before me, they're going to beat you within an inch of your life. And if I don't feel so good about myself, I might just go that extra inch. So that's what I did.
You would have been awesome.
Well, so actually, my first writing job was writing promos for professional wrestlers.
No way. So, okay,
Yeah.
so let's fast track to that. How did you fall into copywriting from all of that? I mean, it sounds like you would have been a natural
I didn't.
fighter, maybe going to the military, maybe open a martial arts school. Like, how do you fall into writing copy?
Well, I wrote promos for wrestlers, but I didn't get into writing until two. In fact, I didn't write at all. I had my daughter when I was 23 or 4, and for about 5 years, I didn't write anything, and I worked regular jobs, and we were pretty broke, and we lived in Eugene, Oregon, and I quit my job, and I made a few investments. I maxed out all of our credit cards. I spent all of our money. I made really, really bad and scary choices. And it was December, and my daughter's birthday is December 16th, and then there's Christmas, which I always went all out on. And instead of leaving money for bills and rent, I made sure there were presents for her birthday and presents under the tree, and then just hoped I would figure it out. Then I made more bad mistakes, and it got worse. And about in the halfway through the month, just like the day before, I think, my daughter's birthday, I started writing an ebook called Becoming, The Evolution of Being. It was some of my story, but it's a spiritual ebook on how I manifest, and which is different because I'm not educated. So the way that I raised myself is predominantly based on one thing, is that there was nobody around to tell me what I couldn't do. So I didn't have a lot of limitations that if you go through a structured schooling system, you know, that you typically pick up. So so I wrote the ebook, and then I converted it. It was a Word doc. I converted it into a PDF, and I put a picture on the front. That's what we called an ebook. And I bought Dreamweaver and Photoshop, and I taught myself how to use it. I built myself a shitty little website, and I wrote articles.
This is the internet dark ages back then. I remember. Holy moly.
So I did a bunch of keyword research, and I had a bunch of articles, and I got on the first page of a lot of good shit, but I wasn't getting any traffic. 4 days we're 4 days past due for paying rent. I made one sale, and it was $17. 17, 1 plus 8, or 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 is the number of abundance. All my products added up to 8. So I was freaking out, and I had nobody to help me, nobody. So, but that evening, sales started coming in. I started getting email notifications on my screen on the computer, and the next day I was able to pay rent.
Damn.
6 months later, I made just over $200,000.
Damn! From a $17 ebook?
Correct.
Good Lord. Dude, I love this story.
Now, before I go any further, 10 years of selling that ebook, and I didn't even know this was a big deal until I really thought about it. 10 years, not a single chargeback.
Wow, that's impressive.
Not one.
That's unbelievable.
And if I showed you the ebook, it looks like it's written by a fourth grader. Run-on is there that they are that
right,
is
right.
spelled. It's just like it's a mess.
Hey, that's how some of my books are.
But it was my wholehearted authenticity. I just let it come through. It was the first time I ever was ever communicated anything about myself. And because I always hide. In fact, I used to tell people I had some college, went to high school at Torrey Pines. I didn't tell them my real story. I hid my real story. And it actually wasn't until I started telling my real story that I became super abundant. But so I, at this point, had never even heard of copy. I was writing articles. I didn't spend a penny on advertising. Not a penny.
So you started your copywriting career essentially writing for yourself.
Correct.
So
And
that's what's
then
fucking sick. A lot of people don't even know what it's like to have skin in the game. A lot of people don't know what it's
no,
like to have to put in a fucking Facebook ad or do
which
some article
which is
marketing. I
also
remember that.
uh, copywriting business structures, but it's also why I structure all of my contracts the way that I do. Like in the contract I'm doing, I'm coming out of, my last contract, I paid for video production and design. In this project, I'm paying for voiceover work. I'm paying for the production of the product. He paid me $20,000, but I get 10% of the net profit for the life. And that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
That's
how
where
you
the
get
money.
rich.
Correct. You do not get and stay rich without multiple streams of passive income.
100%. 100%.
So, and then with me as the face and voice, we have total control of the messaging, and we can test up 10 different things a day. There's nothing but speed with us. And so I do everything in partnerships, and I stay on until it is thriving. Right?
So do you do only partnerships? Like, could someone hire you to do a standalone gig, or does that standalone gig always include partnership?
I know I do a handful of standalones a year if I really like the product and the person. Absolutely, I'm always open to making more money.
Of course, yeah.
Can I get an amen?
I'm sorry?
Can I get an amen?
Amen, baby. Amen.
Okay, thank you.
Show me the money.
So, but yeah, so when I discovered copy, and it fascinated me because it was like, wait a minute, I already do that. Oh, sweet. And so I've never once read a copywriting book.
Really? Not even to this day?
To this
Not
day.
like How to Write a Great Advertisement or whatever it is, or any of these,
I bought them all, and I scanned through them, and I was just like, because for me, the way that I write is pure empathy. I research the fuck out of things, but then I completely unplug until, from the grace of the collective consciousness, the universe, God, whatever, the 0 point field, I just start pooping copy. Just like, I wrote the thing that I sent you. I actually haven't even read it yet, by the way. Just so you know, it's not edited, but I did have it edited. Right, but I haven't gone through it. But I wrote that in 3 days.
Jesus.
And it's 40 pages.
Jeez.
And then I had to write the binaural scripts for part of the actual product, and I'm doing the interviews, and then I'm getting interviewed by another female dating coach for men. That's going to be part of the product, and the binaural scripts were another 50 pages, and I wrote them in 2 days.
Well, yeah, and see, that's why you deserve the partnership. You're not really just saying, hey, give me 10, 20 grand and I'll, yeah.
I didn't charge them for creating the product. I didn't even know what I was going to do. But what we've already created is so authentic and so badass. And this partner, the person who hired me, or what copywriters would typically call their client, is super passionate about this and is so positive about everything we're doing, and is out there, already getting like 12 lists from other super affiliates that are like, fuck yeah, dude. And, even my other, the campaign that's not doing well, his name, Donnie Gamble, he's one of the top super affiliates at ClickBank. And he's working this. Like, he wants to make this a multi-million-dollar company. So we had a hiccup. So fucking what?
Exactly.
Keep moving forward. And that's what I love about this business. And that's why I arrange my deals the way that I do, because I don't want to put all of this into it and then have nothing to show for it.
Yes.
Hey, $20,000. All right, let's talk to Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam gets his, and then I pay my bills, and I live the way that I do, which is I never check my account. I never look at a bill. I always tip more than 100%. That's just who I am. I'm frivolous with money. My girlfriend she's like, please let me manage your money. I was like, get your scarcity away from me.
Yeah. Dude, I'm the same way. That's so funny you say that. I love doing that. I feel that once I start getting into this mode where I've got to worry about all that shit, I never make any money. But once
our abundance is unlimited because we have the ability to create from scratch at any point.
Absolutely.
And there are so many people out there that need us. You know, one of the things I always loved about you is your passion and enthusiasm for this.
Oh, thank you,
When
man.
you talk about copy, it's like, okay, this guy not only gets it, but he gives a fuck.
Yeah.
That's why I'm talking right now. I don't talk to that many copywriters because I don't actually like that many copywriters because there's so much ego.
Oh, dude, it's so true.
I'm taken care of. I hope you are too. And if you want my help, ask me. I will help you for free.
It's so true. Dude, there's this whole thing of copywriters that I've just kind of fought against ever since I started promoting myself as a copywriter a few years ago. And it's everybody's trying to be this, like, I call it the Dan Kennedy syndrome because I love Dan Kennedy. I studied all of his shit. But the thing is, there's too many people who've seen Dan Kennedy and just want to pretend they're Dan Kennedy. Like, I'll use Dan Kennedy's techniques, but I'm not going to just talk like Dan Kennedy, be a dick like Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy can do that. You can still admire him and he's fine. But if that's just not your personality, you don't have to be an asshole. People don't get that shit. They automatically become assholes.
But here's the thing, Carlos. I am an asshole.
But it's an authentic thing.
So when I talk to a prospect, I turn the dial up on my weirdness, on whatever it is that makes me this.
Yeah.
Because that's what I bring to the table. And they need to be able to deal with me. No, that's a sincere truth. There have been clients, partners that could not deal with me.
Well, that also comes down to being a leader. You're not scared of turning it up.
If something doesn't work, I'm on you. Get this done. We can do this now. Okay, I'm getting it done a week later. Dude, are we doing this? Are we doing this? Are we moving mountains? Are we changing people's lives? Are we jacking off?
Dude, it's so true. So many people have this big talk, but they don't put any action behind it. They don't move fast. They don't move with urgency. They move when
I tap into momentum, and if I feel like the momentum is lost, it pisses me the fuck off.
Dude, I'm with it.
Like, why are you doing that? This is your life too, right? You want this to be successful. You want to help people. You want to get this product that we put so much time, energy, effort, blood, sweat, tears, money to get out there and change people's lives. So let's do it. And let's not stop until we're there. And so because I have that mentality, and I maybe got a little bit too much of my father's East Coast pushiness and my Jewish mother's pushiness. A Sicilian Jew, get that.
Hey.
It doesn't get any louder or more obnoxious. I'm going to say that. And I own it. That's fine. But yeah, so when I push people hard, sometimes it turns them off. And that's fine. If you're going to be a pussy, be a pussy. I'm here to help people. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I am devoting so much of my time for us, for this collaboration, to do something that means something. If you're just going to take a swing of the bat and oh no, that first one didn't work, then we shouldn't have even tried. Because I am not here to give up. So that's, again, why I set my business model up the way I do.
Well, no, that's what I like about it, because you can't win without having that personality. And so it's very rare to have a copywriter. And I keep harping on copywriters because I'm one of them. I mean, we have a bunch of fucking faults, guys. A lot of us can't sell out of our we can't sell our own services. A lot of guys don't even know how to do that.
When people say to me, what's your issue? I'll be like, well, here's the magazine, and let me open the closet. Which issue do you want to look at? There's thousands of them. We can open them up and look at them together. Because I have so many issues.
Dude, I love it.
I'm a human being. I feel emotion.
Yeah.
I deal with contrast. I deal with heartache. I have cancer.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. I keep moving.
You fight with such a great attitude that no one would even notice that. No one would even notice that. Most people would make that as an excuse. You almost look at it. Almost sounds like you've turned that into like a fire in the belly.
Let me tell you something. When I had cancer at 9 years old and I was at the cancer clinic and I heard people always saying, my cancer, it's like they get all this attention from their cancer and then they die. Mm. I will ask for the love that I know I deserve. I don't need cancer. I don't need an excuse to get it. I know why it manifested, and I don't need any doctor telling me what I can or can't do. If I listen to If I listen to them, stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, according to them, I was dead last year. Do I look like a dead man to you?
That's crazy. You're like the most alive person right now that I fucking interviewed.
I just went to the doctor, because I have to, I'm taking these pills because I had pericarditis. The lupus caused the lining of my heart to inflame and fill up with fluid. And so I'm just taking them as long as I need to, but I'm a natural alternative guy by nature. But I'm going to use what's available because this one hurts.
Yeah.
But overall, he's just like, you're maintaining. And this is coming down, and it's just like, why?
Might be all that pot you smoke, man.
I smoke enough pot to probably create world peace. Because here's why. Because if everybody on this planet starts absorbing all the weed that I smoke, I smoked about 2 ounces in the last day and a half.
Oh my God. That's fucking insane. I've never heard of anybody being able to do that.
On top of constant supplementation.
That's impressive, dude. I need to send you like a fucking trophy or something. Holy shit.
Well, let me
you're going to say in a week.
There's nothing that I can't do as long as I'm high, brother.
Dude, that's crazy.
I was writing some copy and then I got high.
Well, dude, I'm so happy we're going to have to do another show like this because we could talk for hours. I can already tell. It's fun to fucking talk to you, man. I love it. So
we haven't the tip of the iceberg. In fact, we can't even, I think that iceberg's about this big. I mean, in terms of how much we hit, and there's
so much. There's so much
for the hood in this business, and as copywriters, as human beings, and putting real products in real people's hands that they would actually want, and working with people who aren't just chasing the money, and balancing out all these dynamics, advocating for customers and clients, advocating for the people who hire you, advocating for Facebook and compliance, advocating. We wear all these hats. We back in the day, copywriters meant they were the top of creative. We did everything. And now a lot of copywriters are, I just write copy. No. You are an integral part of every aspect of this funnel, of everything. And if you aren't, get out of business because we need leaders.
Dude,
like you.
I fucking love it. So for all the listeners, if you're resonating with Mark like I am, if you're feeling the fire he's putting out, make sure you follow him. You talk to him. Dude, how can people follow you, get a hold of you, maybe work with you or do so? How can people find you, man?
I probably post most on Instagram. So Mark Pescetti on Instagram.
Sweet, dude. And then it's Mark, M-A-R-K. And then the last name, dude, can you spell it just for all the listeners?
Pescetti. Pescetti.
Right. So Pescetti. Yeah, yes. All right, guys. So that's our show for today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Mark, for being on the show, dropping this gold, man.
You're going to have me back, yeah?
Absolutely. Guys, if you want to see Mark back, let me know, but I'm pretty much going to do it whether you want to or not. So.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for the next episode. Talk soon.